Alright, check this out. Noise quality. The noise will be bad because they're doing a class, so I'm going to whisper. But here's my project for the day. Just drove it in. It's this Ranger. It's 4-wheel drive. I'm about to give it a full treatment. Spacers, intrusion bars, which go down here so that it clears the bigger tires. In the case of an accident, this intrusion bar will hit the tire and prevent it from crumpling too much. Lift struts, rear shocks, recalibration for the bigger tires. 265, 70, 18. Coming up from a 265, 60, 18. So they're going to be mostly taller. That's what we're looking for. Or I tear it apart. Alright. Time to get busy. Technique to not break the TPMS sensor. Haven't broken one in years. Alright, new one going on, lubed. Right there won't break the TPMS sensor. I might be able to do this with one hand. Looking good. This is a plastic duck head, so it doesn't scratch the wheel for the customer. Keep it in the drop section. And then the technique is to get it to drop at the sensor last. Can't break it if it never touched it. Move it over. So this is going to road force balance it. Not only balance it, but measure the tire stiffness and imperfections. And it'll run a model right here. Turn on road force option. This one has lasers to measure the wheel and tire. It's ready. Yes, I set the pressure. Balance is one thing. But especially with these bigger tires, these are almost 33s, we're going to really need to measure the variation on it. Simulating the road force. Needs a fairly small amount of weight. It's pretty good. But now we got to get this number pulled. Come on, baby. 12. That's good. That's really good. If we get 4 like that, this truck's gonna ride smooth. Check out over here. We need a 2.5 and a 2.75. This is a continuous roll of weights. Too bad somebody cut that. I may come back to it. So we gotta pull the weight out. All right. Make sure the little sticker doesn't move, and we're gonna pull it all the way out to 2.5. All right, 2.5, and then we cut it. There's my 2.5, there's my 2 3/4. 2.5 should be lined up right now, right here. I just changed the setting real quick to make it easier. So this is gonna be on the inside towards the spokes, and it's gonna be right on that laser. Boom. But I gotta clean this dust so it sticks. And now the 275, right here. Money. Figures. Got to the last tire and I got an excessive road force of 39. If I phase match it, I can get it down to 28, which I would run. On an LT, I would run that. So I'm going to try to phase match it, but I got to follow all these steps and mark the tire up and then dismount the tire. In fact, I'm going to do this on the outside. I got to dismount the tire and line these couple lines up. You see right here. Yes, I've got that one. Okay. Okay, so this is the wheel. All right. Actually, it's just about a 180, it looks like. Now, if I bring this stiff spot of the sidewall around to this slightly low spot of the wheel, I'll get that number down, and it'll either fix or minimize any vibration. Pull that back on here, airing down. As soon as I can, I'm gonna squeeze the bead and spin that to here. Almost out of air. I'm gonna start working this bead right here. Okay, massage it a little. There we go. Now watch me grab this sucker. All right, I'm gonna need to help it a little bit, but I'm just about ready to spin it. Well, that might have got it. Nah, I need to use my body. All right, check this out. Okay, our tire mark is there. Our wheel mark is coming around. Okay, money. And airing it back up. I'll have it on the balancer in a minute. See what we got. Give us our new road force number. Really just trying to get as low as we can. And a lot of shops won't do this. They don't have the equipment. Even the shops that do have it, they don't want to deal with it. This one turned out really good. That sucker dropped. I've never had one improve that much. That's the best I've ever gotten. Wow. That's amazing. This truck would have had a vibration. Anybody could have thrown any amount of wheel weights they wanted at it, but the issue was the stiffness in the tire, and me just dismounting, lining those marks up. Perfect fix. Otherwise, we're gonna chase this tire all day long, and back in the day, we used to just tell them they need to buy new tires because it was hard to figure out which one it was. So this is a perfect example of how this lift and big tires is going to turn out way better having me do it than some knucklehead. All right, to the harder stuff now. The suspension's kind of a pain. So I tried really pulling a few things apart, dropping the knuckle a little. That's not enough room for the longer strut. So my approach is a little different than what they call for. I pulled these eccentric bolts out. Now this needs a full alignment, but I was going to do that anyway. So, see this mark? There's a mark on the back one too. When I put it together, I'll line those marks up, and that'll get it really close. But then I'm going to put it on the alignment rack and do full cast or camber toe, and I'll hook it up. Alright, so this suspension's a little bit tough to work with. I tried to kind of follow the instructions on that side. That's freaking pain in the butt. It wants you to pull like upper ball joint, lower ball joint, caliper, wheel speed sensor, fold it all the way. This is what I would do. And this is what I started to do, so I'm really just clarifying. This is for sure the ticket. If you do those marks, right? It's hard to see, but there's my mark to these eccentric bolts. Pull the nuts, slide the bolt out, unbolt the strut, fold this whole sucker down, hang it right on the ball joint. Cash. Perfect. Don't screw around with all this other stuff. But if you want to do it this way, make sure you do good marks and make sure you know somebody who's good at alignments, because this is going to need caster, camber, toe, really fine-tuned. That's why the instructions don't have you mess with those eccentrics, because a lot of people can't really align well. So if you got a good person to do an alignment, do it like this. I'm going to do mine. All right, this part's the harder part, right? New one's in, it's looking good. But when you go to put this in, you got to get a post jack and relieve some of the tension on the spring. And then I used a second post jack to lift this control arm up into place to get that bolt started. That is kind of a bear, to be honest. And then I use this tapered bar to go ahead and line the hole up. There's no chance I could show that while holding the phone. It's pretty hard labor, as is, but still the way I do it. All right, next up, these are the anti-intrusion beams, rear and front. This has turned into kind of a pain. I have to pop this little trim loose, this flare, get under it to get this wheel well flap, the fender liner, peel it up, pull out that crash support or whatever. So now I can get this bolt out. That bolt was hitting that crash support. Couldn't remove it. Next, I believe this bar is not going to clear. Yep. So I've got to cut that bar off, slide it out, and then that'll make room for the new bar. So that part's actually been a pain as well. Let's get in there. All right, here we go. Perfect. 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 All right, looking really good, but I got contact right here on this little bar, on this crash bar, which I have a replacement, and it also touched this little front valance right there.
Oh, you have a new bar that goes in the front there?
Yep, and I'm just gonna trim a little plastic, but I can't get it out. This bar, I unbolted, it comes out and it hits the bumper right there. So I'm gonna make a cut on that bar so I can take it out in 2 pieces. It'll be sweet. All right, on the way back, man, this thing drives dead straight. It's perfect. I just got to do that little bit of a trim, and this thing will be amazing. So, nice kit, just needs a little TLC. I got this thing home now. So, what I really need to do, there's 2 options. These crash bars are rubbing right there, right about here. Or they call it like an intrusion beam. If you look right here, I started to cut that, and with a brand new DeWalt Sawzall blade, that thing just scratched it. I mean, just banging around. Those are hard, so I'm not even going to screw around with that anymore. I'm going to pull this front bumper forward. Now, I may not pull the bumper all the way off. I'm thinking if I loosen, for example, if I start over here, if I loosen these 3 and I take those 3 bolts out, I think I can tilt it enough to slide the crash bar. But to get this far, you got to pull this piece right here. To pull that piece, there's a bunch of clips on the top, quite a few bolts on the bottom. Pull the skid plate as well, and then these little quick clips have always been a pain in my butt. You can see I got it to pull, but they didn't really come out right. So I'm going to need to pull those, and notice I'm not going to set this face down and scratch it up. They all need to be reinserted on here. You can see it's just, when there's no real way around it. When you go to pull it, they're either going to pull correctly or they're going to pull off the plastic. Just make sure you pull them out of the metal and reset them back on here. And then this wire is for our forward proximity sensors. And just one simple connector back here. Bingo. So now that I got that, I'm gonna blast these 2 nuts and this one hiding back here out and loose, and then I'll see if I can get enough wiggle room. All right, let's check this out. Now I've got the bolts out of that intrusion beam right here. 15's got to get them from the top. And now let's try to set my light. I'm going to show you the exact issue here. This comes out. Yeah, definitely need the light. As you can see, hits the bumper pretty hard. But because I've got this bumper loosened on that side and totally unbolted on this side, I'm going to just kind of support it. If I'm able to sneak it forward a little, just a little more. Boom. Perfect. Let me grab the new one. It's our new baby right here. So, going in much easier than coming out. Now I might have to do a little banging around and stuff, but I'd like to explain for a second the purpose of these. If this thing gets hit in the front, or if this rear ends a car or something, this bumper is going to try to come back, and they kind of cheat with these intrusion beams to hit the tire to prevent the frame from crunching too far, and encroaching on the passengers. And same with the back, that beam that's already in there. That's really just all part of the design for collision. So you could take them out and not put anything in there, but I really wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend replacing with a nice aftermarket part like this. So I'm gonna gotta get this in, gotta get bolted up, get the other side done, but you get the gist of what I'm doing here. All right, driver's side's good. On the passenger side now. So here's where those things bolt up. Can't really get an impact gun in there. Air ratchet or cordless maybe, but I've had it in and out a few times. So again, this is really for your safety. You could remove it and not rub, but this is a nice kit. And with just a little bit of work on the moving the bumper, they're really not that bad. Now that I see how to do it, they're just too hard to cut. But now I've got this side set back in, and this side, once I pull the nuts, I'm just pull the bumper out and then kind of prop it against its own stud, and that holds it away just enough to clear that. And then I'll do that, and I'll button all this other stuff back up. I guess I got to trash talk a little. So I was trying to get this passenger side in, and I just couldn't get it to really fit right. And I found that weld is a little high right there. I'll try to get a good shot of it. That weld is sticking up too high, and you'll notice that the top of it's kind of beat up. That's because I've been trying to get it to slide into place. So not that big of a thing. Just gonna file it down. It'll be an easy fix. Nice and flat. No, I'm gonna set the phone down. All right, just that little filing. Not that big of a thing. Shoot a little black, get it in there. All right, it's in there. Now, I got the bumper popped back into place. I got all the nuts started on the studs. And how you line up this bumper is gonna affect all of your gaps. So the flat rate trick is to pull it and make it so that nut is gonna touch its old spot on all six. If there's 3 on this side, there's 3 on that side. If you get them all, basically, if you can't see any shiny metal and you got them all exactly where they were, you'll be pretty close. Now this one had a little bit of a trick because the tire was hitting the intrusion beam here, which is now gone. But this little valance was actually touching too. So what I may do is I may actually pry on that bracket in there, try to pry it forward, because all we really need is about that much, just very little. So I may try to tweak this thing a little bit more, but for now, unfortunately the bracket doesn't have a lot of adjustability away from the tire. It's got up and down, it's got side to side, but probably the only way to shim this bumper out would be to actually pull the bumper off and put washers behind it, in which case it's gonna kind of mess up this line alignment. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna try to deal with the plastic on the bottom. All right, now dealing with this plastic piece. So remember I was saying these can't stay like that. We gotta grab those out of there. It can be a little bit of a pain with one hand, but I'll get it. Right here. We need to set those back on the tabs. The only realistic way to do that is to have this face down. So find something nice and soft that will definitely not scratch the paint, and then slide the tab back on where it should be. Repeat, 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 repeat. I happen to have some insight on the factory for a couple different manufacturers. Honestly, these clips suck. They suck for you, they suck for the techs, they suck for everybody who has to remove them. But for the assembly line, they work good. There's a few different techniques you could use. Maybe really try to support right around where the clip is with a trim panel tool. That would look like this. Something like this. You see I've got mine taped to protect it from scratching. But honestly, these things are a pain. They are horrible to take back out, so you'll probably do exactly what I just did, and you'll have to reset these back on there. Once you get this back into place, you're gonna line them up, pop, pop, pop. You just are kind of almost punching it in without, taking your aggression out on it. And it works great for the assembly line, and everybody else hates them. All right, here we go. So Just remember, pass this wire through the hole. We gotta kind of hang it up there for a quick second. And then I've got to clip it into that connector back there that I showed you earlier. Otherwise, you're gonna get a whole bunch of advanced driver assist warnings for those proximity sensors. And then, real carefully, I'm just gonna land one of those clips in the corner spot and one in the other corner. And when I'm happy with them, I'll pop them in. Pop them in. Okay, now I just got a bunch of screws and clips. And like these clips, for example, a lot of people have seen these already. You pull the middle out. This will show you to remove it. A lot of different tools. I use a little pick or sometimes a flathead screwdriver. Pull the middle out. And then find the one spot, right? And these are primarily used plastic to plastic, right? Set it. Got a bunch of those to do, a bunch of screws, skid plate, and then we're on to programming. All right, remember that plastic piece I said was rubbing? I realized this bracket's right here. I can get a real good shot on it before I put the skid plate on. So I'm gonna do this by eye. I'm lining it up in the background on something on my wall. Here you go, you ready? It's actually pretty hard to move. Okay, I'm gonna do just a tiny more. All right. Now, if you want to be technical, measure from the tire to here, but I'm going to turn the wheels and I'm going to see just how close we are. Before it was just not even a pinky away, but on bumps it would actually touch. So I made a good reference back then. All right, cool tip about the skid plate. You can just hang it in those back bolts. You don't have to take them out. All right, check this out. This programmer does not support this vehicle. Check part number on the programmer. For further assistance, call this tech line number. So my customer got this. I don't know, maybe the website was wrong or whatever, but it is interesting. It doesn't mention a Ranger here. So I'm gonna do a little bit more digging, but it looks like I'm not gonna be able to calibrate the speedo. Cool thing is, on the way home, I did a little test. At 50 miles an hour, this was reading 48. You know, so at freeway speeds, that's a pretty small. You figure that's about 4%, 3 to 4%. So it's not really that big of a thing, but I'd like to eventually get it perfectly dialed in for him. So I'm going to dig into this a little bit, but if I find that for sure this is the wrong part, I'm going to package it back up, have him get the correct one, and send him on his way, because it's not unreasonable. It drove good. The speedometer is just 3-4% off. So at 80, it may be a little bit more deceiving. You may be 5-6 miles an hour, but that's not really all that bad either. TBD. So on a hunch, I think the reason it's saying it's incompatible is because it's not updated. So I'm going to download the update software. I'm going to upload it into the device and recheck. All right, download is present. So I can see it because I'm just videoing my computer screen. So download's done. So I'm just going to install this program. Really fuzzy. And sure, I'll just put it on my C drive, wherever. Can't see my mouse though. There it is. Okay. Alright, so we're going to install that as well. Install it. I approve. Oops, not that one. Okay. Well, it's super fast, I guess. Launch the tuner internet update. And sure. I didn't really find any good instructions for this, so I'm just rolling through the update wizard. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to update. 1 second. So, sure, I'll do okay. Please make sure your tuning product is not connected to the USB. Okay, I thought I was ready to connect it. I'm gonna disconnect it. And then okay. And sure. extract. Next. Yeah, I don't know what I'm accepting, but I accept whatever this fate is. Give me a second. Well, that was fast. Okay, finish. So I should be ready to go. Now let me read this for a quick second. Alright, I'm going to go with update or configure device, but I'm going to plug it back in. And it's pretty dark in here. So let me get a light. So I took the device and I plugged in the little USB it came with, and I'm going to plug that in to my computer. Okay, let's just see how it likes it. Okay, update or configure device. Okay, warning, do not disconnect tuner. This is kind of standard ECM programming. If you disconnect it while it's doing the update, it's probably never going to work again. You'll sort of let the magic smoke out. Okay. So it's just starting the update process. Okay, this is only really prompted. Oh, there we go. Look what that says. 2019 Ranger. So yeah, that lower one looks better. It probably had the first. They probably had the upper one for the F-150. So now we're gonna make it for the lower. Yes, I like it. So it downloaded. It's writing it, and that's the progress. This thing is fast. I mean, yeah, it's pretty fast anyway, since I pulled fiber optic cable. But this is blazing. Okay. Definitely don't disconnect. Okay, as soon as successfully updated, it's got the new version. Cool. Now safe to disconnect. Bingo. Okay, we're going back out to the truck. You can see I got the truck outside. So this is standard protocol here. OBD2 connector down the bottom with a no look. If I have to, I'll get down there and look a little better. Connected. Just gonna lay it out here. And this is gonna prompt me a few things. And in a minute I'm gonna do the key on, so hopefully now it'll be happier. In fact, I really should just do the key on. It's not gonna communicate with the ignition not on. Also standard protocol. So I didn't read that in the manual. I need one more click here. Oh, DTC reported, huh? Yeah. Sure, write it down, absolutely. Okay. Okay, B124D. Okay, that's a body code. I'm not sure what that is, but I will look into that. I'll have to log into my other program, into all data. Okay, we're just going to go to the next. Next, I want to kind of go next. I guess I got to press no. No more codes. Cool, but we're going to get into programming here. Okay, no. Cleared. I'm sure that it's not. We're talking about a body code. To clear. Press yes. Well, I guess so. I guess we gotta clear the code. It's kind of a pain. Whatever you say. Okay, get into tuning. I haven't done the tire calculations yet. but I want to make sure. Yeah, see, now it's happy. I'm in there. It's working good. So this is what I have to do. If the tire size has been changed from original, press yes. And I'm going to pause real quick, and I'm going to run this tire size online to measure. In fact, let me explain a little better. I'm going to just use an online calculator to take this tire size, which is 265, 70, 18. And I'm going to go with what that calculator says for height. The other way to do it would be make a mark here to here, roll the tire one revolution, make another mark where that line hits the bottom, measure the distance, and then you do a calculation using pi, 3.14. It's 15628 or something like that. So that's actually the really good safe way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the calculator. I'm going to program it with the size the calculator says, and then I'm going to drive it with a GPS and do a comparison so I can really fine tune it. Just Googled it. Google the tire size. 32.6 is their number. That's probably correct. It's coming from about a 30 and a half. And the other thing I want to make sure that we're good. Make sure that your battery is fully charged here. If this battery goes dead, it's you can put some computers to sleep. Don't ask me how I know. Okay. Okay, I think I need to slow down and actually press up. Yeah, just a little bit. So we're gonna either go 32.5 or 32.75, and 32.5 is a little closer, so I'm gonna go with that. And then I'm gonna drive it with my GPS and check it out. Yeah, it's gonna set all sorts of codes, freak it out. It'll do the right. It'll bring it back up. This is not unique to Hypertech. This is just when you program in any sort of electronic control module, this is what it's going to do. Alright, so it's writing. And that's going to take a little while. So I'm going to set it down. It's actually reading. I'm going to set it down. It's going to pull a read. That's going to copy the entire powertrain file. And then it's going to modify only the section for tire size, which is for not only speedometer, but if you think about it, it's got a lot to do with automatic transmission shift points stuff. Once that thing's rolling, I'll fire it up. It's not really anything to do other than sit here and watch it. Just for the record, it's pretty slow. It's been about 5 minutes. We're halfway to reading, and there's going to be the right, so the right's going to be a while. I'm actually going to shut the door. I don't usually like to disturb the vehicle at all, but just in saving battery and stuff like that, I'm gonna shut the door, make sure the lights and stuff are off. So didn't know it'd be that slow. I guess I should have. It's a full powertrain, so get your vehicle set up where any of the loads are off, blower motor and that type of stuff. I'll come back and check it. So I walked away, and looks like it wrote, "Please turn off ignition and press yes." So I'm turning off and press yes. I am waiting. Yes, I am waiting. Turn key to run. So on this one, that's click. Actually, let's see if I can make this one click. I didn't hear field pump. Click on. No, it was just one click on this. It's interesting. Okay. But do not start. Alright, we established that. And then I think it's press yes. Yes is on the right. Okay, now it's writing. So for that reason, all the modules shut down, which is again normal. Don't know if I'll have a progress bar on this one, but so far I don't. So that when I walked away and came back, I thought it might have written already, but it didn't. It just read only. Okay. Okay, there's our status bar. That's at 0, so this part. So maybe a little faster. Okay, be back. Looks like it just completed. Coming up to it. Please turn off ignition. Bingo. Press yes. Key on. But not started. And I think it's going to say press yes, more likely. I believe this is just going to check to make sure that the ECUs boot up. That's kind of verifying that the programming took. Successfully programmed vehicle. Okay, we're done. I'm on to the road test. There you go. So that little couple slams with the sledge gave me all the room we needed right there. Perfect. Driving it. Alright, so on the drive, I found speedometer actually reads 2 to 3 higher than it was, around 40 to 50. So I'm going to recalibrate. I'm going to go more for like a 31.5 and then re-GPS it. I'm pretty sure 31.5 would be really close. So while it does that right, and I bet the calibration will be better this time, take a look at how it turned out. And it's waking up, just starting the computers up. Get a few angles here. It's leveled. That's about the height that I would do myself. Turned out sweet. No rubs, no nothing. It's good. Plus this guy's got a killer view, huh? You can take it out onto that trail right there. And the ride is complete. So I'm going to do a quick drive, and assuming the drive is good, this will be the end of the video, if the speedometer is accurate. Forgot one thing. So I'm in California. This has actually an EO number. That's executive order number. And CARB is not carburetor. It's California Air Resource Board. So because he bought the nice legitimate one, this will actually allow it to still pass smog. Let me peel it real quick. Alright, I'm going to just put this right next to the emissions label. So that way when he gets a smog check, which wouldn't be for several years because this truck's nearly new, the smog tech will see that. And even though this ECM is reprogrammed, it's got an EO number, so it would still pass smog. California's kind of crazy like that, but if you look, it's 70 out here, and those are not clouds. That is all snow. So California's good and bad, and it kind of depends.